Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Always.
Awesome. Today we're going to be looking at all things German ingenuity. Inventions, discoveries, cultural stuff, the whole nine yards.
Should be fascinating. Germany has contributed so much across a range of fields. It's amazing. Things we use every day without even thinking about it.
You're totally right. Okay, so before we get into all the mind-blowing stuff.
Oh, we've got some mind-blowing stuff coming up.
We do. But let's start simple. The printing press. I know, it's basic history.
But think about it. A world without easy access to books. Can you imagine?
It was super expensive, only for the rich.
Exactly. Then Gutenberg comes along in the 15th century, and bam, information explosion. It's not just religious texts anymore either.
Yeah, you've got scientific ideas, political pamphlets, even like the early versions of entertainment.
It's like the original social media, right? Knowledge wasn't just stuck in those monasteries anymore.
Totally. It makes you wonder, though, how did that rapid spread of information change things back then? Like the power dynamics.
That's a good point. I mean, the Renaissance happened not too long after. And that was like this huge boom in intellectual and artistic stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure. Maybe because ideas could suddenly be like debated and challenged and built upon in a way they never could before.
I think you're onto something there. Okay, ready for another everyday essential? Aspirin. I bet you've got some in your medicine cabinet.
Probably. Wait, aspirin is German.
You bet. Bayer developed it in the late 1800s, obviously huge for pain relief. But what's really cool is that it became the model for how we make medicines now, like figuring out how to make a compound in a lab that targets, a specific thing you want to treat.
So aspirin. Not just for headaches, it changed medicine. Okay, I did promise some mind-blowing stuff.
Oh, yeah. Get ready.
X-rays and Einstein. Those are pretty hard to beat.
True. Well, X-rays, it's all about seeing the invisible.
Whoa.
Wilhelm Röntgen, he stumbles on them in 1895, and suddenly doctors can see inside the body. No surgery needed.
That's wild, like broken bones, stuff with your lungs, things that used to be total mysteries.
Exactly. Röntgen wins the very first Nobel Prize in physics for that discovery. That's how huge GE it was.
And then there's Einstein. His theory of relativity, it's from the early 1900s, and it basically blew up everything we thought we knew about space, time, gravity. It changed how we see the entire universe.
No small feat.
Okay, full disclosure, relativity makes my brain hurt a little.
Yeah.
Can you give me, like, a real-world example? How does it actually apply?
Think about GPS. How we navigate everywhere. It needs super, super accurate timekeeping between the satellites and, your phone or whatever.
Right.
Without accounting for the effects of relativity. Like, what Einstein figured out, GPS wouldn't work at all.
Whoa. So relativity isn't just some abstract idea.
Nope, it's built into our everyday lives.
That's incredible. Okay, coming back down to earth a little bit, how about the diesel engine?
Oh, another game changer. Rudolf Diesel invents it in the late 1800s. It totally revolutionized transportation and industry.
Like ships, trucks, all that heavy machinery, right?
Exactly. The power and efficiency, nothing else could compare at the time.
It's amazing to me how these inventions, the printing press, the diesel engine, they seem so normal now. Like, of course we have them. But they totally revolutionized everything. I mean, what kind of problems did these inventors even have to solve? What did it take to bring these ideas to life?
Every big breakthrough has a story behind it. Persistence, a little bit of luck. But, we can't just focus on science and tech. Germany's cultural influence is massive.
Oh, absolutely. In music, you've got Beethoven, Bach, Mozart. Literally everyone knows them. Their music is still played everywhere, still inspiring people centuries later. What do you think makes them so timeless?
It's that blend of, incredible technical skill and, deep emotion.
Yeah.
They pushed the boundaries of music, but they also created things that connect with everyone.
Yeah, you hear it and you just feel it. Joy, sorrow, love, victory.
And then you've got the philosophers. Kant, Nietzsche, Marx. They tackled the big questions. Morality, society, what's the meaning of life? Their ideas are still being debated today.
And they totally shook things up, challenging the powers that be, making people face uncomfortable truths. They weren't afraid to, provoke people into thinking differently.
Yeah, they left a legacy of asking questions and challenging assumptions that we're still grappling with today.
It's honestly amazing how much one country has influenced philosophy, music, literature. We haven't even touched on the writers yet. Goethe, man.
It's an incredible legacy. Oh, for sure. Their works are like these deep explorations of what it means to be human. They're translated into so many languages, studied all over the world.
Okay, so we've got these groundbreaking inventions, amazing scientific discoveries, and a culture that's had this huge impact. What else is there?
Well, we can't forget about Germany's industry and engineering. I mean, think about brands like Siemens, Volkswagen, Bosch.
Oh, yeah. Global powerhouses, those names are everywhere. And they have this reputation for, like, quality precision. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And it's not by accident. They really emphasize technical education, this culture of craftsmanship, and, they're not afraid to embrace new technologies.
And they're good at taking those scientific and technological advances and, like, actually using them to grow their industries, right?
Exactly. It's all connected,
Mhm.
The science feeds the industry, the culture influences the innovation. It's kind of like this positive feedback loop.
I like that, a positive feedback loop. Makes sense. And speaking of connections, Germany and space exploration. Can't leave that out.
Absolutely. They've been major collaborators with NASA and the European Space Agency, really pushing the boundaries of what we know about, well, everything out there.
Okay, space base. This is where I geek out a little bit. What are
Mhm.
some of the big projects they've been involved in?
Well, satellite technology is a big one. They've made major contributions there, and that's revolutionized communication, navigation, how we observe the Earth.
Right.
They've also been super important in developing instruments for space telescopes, the ones that let us see farther and farther into the universe.
It's pretty mind-blowing to think that German engineering and science is helping us explore the cosmos.
It is that drive to connect with something bigger than ourselves, to push beyond our limits. It's really powerful.
I totally get it. Okay, so we've talked about science, technology, culture, industry, even space exploration. Germany's excelled in all of them. But there's another part of their legacy that's a bit tougher to talk about. Their history of military innovation.
Yeah, it's a complicated topic for sure, but I think it's important to acknowledge we can't just focus on the positive stuff.
It's like this reminder that even brilliant minds can get caught up in the events of their time. And not every scientific discovery or technological advancement is used for good.
Exactly. So where do we even start with unpacking this?
I guess we could start with, like, the Panzer tanks. I mean, they completely changed warfare in the early 20th century.
They were so much faster, more maneuverable, and had way more firepower than anything else at the time. They played a huge role in Germany's military strategies.
Yeah, the Panzer tanks were this symbol of, like, technological power and military might. It's kind of unsettling, actually, how quickly new inventions can be adapted for war.
It is. I guess it shows that humans are capable of both creating and destroying. And the Panzers are just one example, right?
We've also talked about the V-2 rockets, another groundbreaking technology, but developed during wartime. I mean, what must it have been like to see those things launch? They were the first of their kind.
Imagine it. This massive liquid-fueled rocket shooting up into the sky, reaching speeds and altitudes no one had ever seen before. It must have been terrifying and awe-inspiring at the same time.
Yeah, like a glimpse into the future of warfare,
Yeah.
but not necessarily a good future.
Right. And the development of those rockets really did signal a new era, one where the lines between military and civilian targets were, becoming more and more blurred.
And speaking of blurred lines, the U-boats.
The submarines. Yeah, another example of technological innovation used in a way that, had devastating consequences.
They were incredibly effective, right? Disrupting shipping lanes, wreaking havoc during both world wars.
Absolutely. The U-boats were stealthy, they were deadly, and they were this constant threat. I can't even imagine the psychological toll it must have taken, knowing that this hidden enemy could strike at any moment.
It's a good reminder that the impact of war goes way beyond the actual battles. It affects people, families, entire communities
Ew.
for generations.
Yeah. And the U-boats really highlight those ethical questions around technology. We can use our ingenuity to explore the oceans, or we can use it to wage war and cause suffering.
This is a tough thing to think about, but I guess we can't just celebrate human achievement without acknowledging the potential for things to go really wrong.
I agree. It's our responsibility to make sure that our advancements are used for good, to promote peace, understanding, all that stuff.
So we've talked about some of the big military innovations. Tanks, rockets, submarines. What about firearms?
Oh, Germany made huge advancements there, too. They developed the Sturmgewehr 44, the STG 44. A lot of people consider it to be the first true assault rifle.
That's a big one.
It combined the firepower of a machine gun with the portability of a rifle. It was a game changer in close quarters combat.
Yeah, I can see why it was so influential. I mean, its design influenced so many assault rifles that came after it. still to this day.
It really shows how military technology, even when it's developed during war, can have a lasting impact on the world.
It makes you think. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with these military innovations, but their ingenuity went beyond weapon systems too, right? What about aviation?
Oh, absolutely. Germany was at the forefront of jet propulsion technology.
The jet age.
Exactly. The Messerschmitt Me 262, it flew for the first time in 1941. It was the world's first operational jet-powered fighter. Can you imagine?
It must have been unbelievable. To be a pilot back then, witnessing the birth of the jet age. It must have felt like stepping into the future, although maybe a scary future.
Yeah, that's true. The development of jet propulsion really was this turning point in aviation, and it revolutionized both military and civilian air travel, you know.
Sure.
But it also highlights how fast technology advances during wartime. And it brings up all those ethical questions again, right? What happens when we use these groundbreaking discoveries for destructive purposes?
It's a reminder that scientific and technological progress isn't always a simple, straightforward thing. It's complicated.
Definitely. We have to think about the consequences of what we create, both the good and the bad.
Hmm.
And we have to try to use what we know to make the world better, not worse.
I agree. Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's talk about one final example of German ingenuity. Something a little more about, intelligence and deception than brute force.
The Enigma machine?
Yeah, the Enigma machine. It's like something out of a spy movie. Code breaking, cryptography, this whole battle of wits going on during World War II.
Yeah.
Can you explain how it even worked?
It was incredibly complex. Picture a typewriter, right? But then, hook it up to this whole system of rotors and wiring. It's mind-boggling.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Sort of. So how did it actually make messages secret?
Well, every time you pressed a key, it produced a different encrypted letter. So unless you had another Enigma machine, A&D, you knew the exact settings.
You were out of luck.
Basically, yeah, the Germans had a serious advantage for a while there.
I can imagine. But wait, I thought the Allies cracked the Enigma code, right?
They did. But it wasn't easy. There was this team of brilliant codebreakers working at Bletchley Park in England. Alan Turing was one of them, actually.
Oh, wow. Turing. He's like a legend in computer science, right?
Yeah, for sure. His work on breaking the Enigma code was crucial, but it also laid the groundwork for so much of modern computing.
That's incredible. But back to the Enigma machine for a sec. How did they even crack it? It sounds unbreakable.
It took a combination of things, really. Brilliant minds, mathematical insights, and, probably a little bit of luck, too.
So they outsmarted the machine.
In a way, yes. They found these subtle weaknesses in the Enigma's design, and they started building early computers, things that could help them decipher the messages faster.
Wow. That's amazing. So the Enigma machine is like this example of incredible ingenuity, right? On both sides.
Exactly. The Germans who built it, the Allies who figured out how to break it. It shows this constant back and forth in technology. You innovate, someone finds a counter-innovation. It's never-ending, really.
That's a great point. Okay, so we've gone through a ton of stuff in this deep dive into German ingenuity. I mean, from aspirin to Einstein to the Enigma machine, we've covered some ground. What stuck with you the most?
It's just the sheer breadth of it all, right? The inventions, the scientific discoveries. It's clear that Germany has had this huge impact on the world. I mean, they've shaped how we understand science, technology, culture, even just what it means to be human.
I totally agree. But we also talked about some of the more difficult stuff, right? Like how those same advancements were sometimes used in really destructive ways.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that, progress isn't always a straight line. There can be setbacks, unintended consequences.
It's complicated.
It is. But I think it's our responsibility to learn from the past, both the good and the bad, and to make sure that, the things we create are used for good.
That's a great takeaway. We can't just be impressed by these inventions or scientific theories. We have to think about the ethics, the consequences, all of it.
For sure.
This deep dive has been amazing. It's clear that German ingenuity has left its mark on the world. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question to think about. How can we, like each of us individually, contribute to this story of innovation? What can we learn from the successes and the failures of the past to guide us in the future?
That's such a good question. And it's important to remember that this legacy of German ingenuity, it's not just about the stuff they invented. It's about the human spirit, right? Curiosity, creativity, determination. We can all be part of that, no matter who we are or what we do.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into German ingenuity. We'll catch you next time.